If everything you perceive feels real, how do you know what's actually real? In the age of social media filters, deepfakes, and AI-generated worlds, that question has never felt more urgent. The boundaries between authentic and artificial are dissolving. Neuroscience tells us perception is a construction of the brain. Physics tells us matter is mostly empty space. And mysticism goes one step further, claiming that even this emptiness is full of meaning. So what is reality? Science describes it as material and measurable. Ibn Arabi, the 12th century Andalusian philosopher-mystic, described it as consciousness itself. He wrote that the universe is an illusion, yet not a falsehood. It is a reflection of something infinitely real, the divine being that perceives through all forms. To understand this distinction between illusion and truth, we must first examine the modern human condition. Our confusion about perception itself. The modern world is defined by overstimulation. Our senses process more information in one day than our ancestors encountered in months. Psychologists call this cognitive overload, a condition that fragments attention and diminishes clarity. Under such strain, people begin to mistake perception for truth. We cling to what feels consistent, our opinions, identities, and online narratives, even when they contradict evidence. This is known in psychology as confirmation bias and attention bias. We selectively see what fits our expectations. Neuroscience provides a striking explanation. According to the predictive processing model, the brain does not passively record the world. It predicts it. What we see is the brain's best guess, a constantly updated simulation guided by prior experience. In short, we live inside an internal model of reality, not direct reality itself. Centuries ago, Ibn Arabi described the same phenomenon as living behind veil upon veil. The senses perceive surfaces. The intellect interprets symbols. Only the heart, he said, perceives being itself. Muhyiddin Ibn Arabi was born in Murcia, Islamic Spain, in 1165 CE, a time when philosophy, science, and spirituality were deeply intertwined. He is known as Al-Shaykh al-Akbar, the greatest master, for the depth and universality of his thought. Ibn Arabi was not anti-religious. He was an ontologist, concerned with the nature of being itself. He asked not what exists, but how existence appears. He wrote, "There is nothing in existence but the real." All else is his reflection. In his view, the physical world is a mirror of the divine, a series of reflections through which the real becomes known. His goal was to train perception, to move from seeing objects to perceiving expressions of consciousness. Modern cognitive science calls this constructivism, the idea that the mind co-creates what it experiences. Ibn Arabi called it theophany, the self-disclosure of the real through form. Ibn Arabi often compared the universe to a mirror reflecting the attributes of God. The reflection is real as appearance, but has no independent existence. It vanishes when the mirror vanishes. Modern neuroscience echoes this metaphor. Anil Seth's theory of perception as a controlled hallucination argues that the brain generates predictive models and matches them with sensory input. Our experience, therefore, is relational, not absolute. Two people witnessing the same event may describe it differently because each perceives through the filter of their inner world, their emotional and cognitive mirror. For Ibn Arabi, this means reality is not out there. It emerges in the encounter between observer and observed. The mirror does not distort truth. It makes perception possible. Without consciousness, existence would remain unperceived potential. The second pillar is Ibn Arabi's notion of the imaginal realm, or al-kawn. This is not fantasy or imagination in the ordinary sense. It is an ontological domain where meanings take form. Modern psychology offers parallels in Jung's collective unconscious, the deep symbolic field of the psyche, and in neuroscience's default mode network, which becomes active during introspection and creative thinking. When the mind disengages from external tasks, it begins to connect disparate memories and insights. This inner cinema generates dreams, intuition, and art. For Ibn Arabi, the imaginal is the meeting point of spirit and matter. What begins as image or idea can cross into tangible reality because both operate on the same continuum of being. Thus, imagination is not escapism, it is perception, operating at a subtler frequency. What you imagine, aligned with truth, is not unreal. It is potential form awaiting manifestation. Ibn Arabi's most discussed doctrine is Wadat al-Wujud, the unity of being. He taught that all existence is one reality appearing in countless forms. Multiplicity is the play of the one observing itself. This does not mean everything is God. It means nothing exists independently of the divine source. Each phenomenon is a mode of manifestation, not a separate entity. Modern science converges here. Quantum field theory suggests that all particles are excitations of one universal field. In cognitive science, the binding problem explores how the brain unifies diverse sensory inputs into one coherent consciousness. Ibn Arabi's insight mirrors these findings. Separation is perceptual, not existential. A helpful analogy is the ocean and its waves. Each wave appears distinct, yet all are movements of the same sea. Likewise, all beings are expressions of one infinite being. The fourth pillar is the Insan al-Kamil, or perfect human. Ibn Arabi viewed humanity as the mirror through which the divine becomes self-aware. When consciousness is purified of distortion, ego, bias, and fear, it reflects the divine attributes clearly. Human perception then becomes a window for the universe to know itself. Modern psychology describes a similar trajectory in self-actualization, the unfolding of potential toward wholeness. In neuroscience, this corresponds to higher brain integration, harmony between emotion and reason, limbic and prefrontal systems leading to coherent awareness. For Ibn Arabi, enlightenment is not about escaping the world, but perceiving it accurately. The purpose of human life is not control, but clarity of perception. To see the real as it is, without distortion, is the highest form of knowledge. If everything is a manifestation of the real, why do we experience ignorance, suffering, and illusion? Ibn Arabi's logic is subtle. Illusion is necessary for recognition. A mirror reveals its image only through contrast. Without darkness, light cannot be seen. Awareness requires limitation to become conscious of itself. The infinite knows itself through the finite. This limitation is not a flaw, it's the very mechanism of realization. Neuroscience supports this. The brain perceives not absolutes, but contrasts. We see edges, differences, and change, not static reality. Thus, duality is the engine of perception. Illusion, then, is not falsehood. It is partial vision, a necessary step in the unfolding of full awareness. Reality responds to the quality of perception. Neuroplasticity research shows that focused attention reshapes neural pathways. Mindfulness refines the inner mirror, reducing bias and emotional noise. Ibn Arabi viewed emotions as transient forms within consciousness. Modern studies in cognitive reappraisal demonstrate that reframing thoughts changes emotional response. Observing emotion without identification activates the prefrontal cortex, weakening the grip of reactive patterns. The imaginal realm can be engaged consciously. Visualization and guided imagery activate neural circuits for innovation and problem-solving. Imagination thus becomes an instrument of knowledge, not escape. If all beings reflect the same source, compassion becomes rational, not sentimental. Systems theory and ecology confirm that cooperation sustains complexity. Empathy aligns human behavior with the logic of interdependence, the natural order of the real. In sum, Ibn Arabi's metaphysics provides a model for cognitive, emotional, and ethical alignment with the structure of existence itself. To transform the world, one must refine perception, not merely rearrange appearances. We do not see the world as it is. We see it as we are. Ibn Arabi's philosophy teaches that the real is not hidden. It reveals itself constantly through perception. The goal is not to escape illusion, but to see through it. To realize that illusion itself is the teacher, the means through which truth becomes visible. In modern terms, conscious perception is alignment with reality. When perception becomes accurate, behavior harmonizes, ethics emerges naturally, and peace becomes the rational outcome of understanding. Reality, then, is not something to be found, it is something to be perceived rightly. How would your daily choices change if you knew that reality mirrors your consciousness?